February, the Dixwell Avenue United Church of Christ celebrates its 192nd anniversary. It is the oldest African-American UCC church in the country and has quite a rich and illustrious history. Joining me today are Margot Taylor, the church historian, and Dr. Charles Warner. It's great to have you both.
Good morning.
This is quite a historic church. Let's go back 192 years ago. What was happening and who founded the church?
As you know, slavery was still an issue in our country at that time. Our church founder was Simeon Jocelyn, who was a member of Center Church in New Haven, and 24 former slaves. And we do have the names of those 24 people. Initially, they met in people's homes, and then eventually they were able to purchase a building on Temple Street in downtown New Haven. And they remained there until 1886, which we moved to 100 Dixwell Avenue. And we stayed there until 1969, and now we're at 217 Dixwell Avenue.
Why was it so important back then to start a church like this, Dr. Warner?
Well, because we needed a place of our own. And Center Church on the Green, we were allowed to worship in the church, but only in the balcony. And in recent years, we did a pictorial of slaves or members of Dixwell Church worshiping in the balcony of Center Church on the Green.
Back then, what were the challenges to form this church?
Well, they certainly were not embraced warmly by the citizens of New Haven, and Simeon Jocelyn himself faced a lot of...
He was an abolitionist.
Yes, he was an abolitionist. He was a young man. He was only in his 20s when he founded it, and he was not an ordained minister. But he received death threats, and he served for, I couldn't tell you the exact number of years, although I have it, but he served without compensation for many years. And then eventually the church gained acceptance, but it was a struggle.
And it grew over the years.
Over the years.
And we have some pictures of some of the folks who are part of that. Here we have a picture of the deacons. And what is their role in the church?
I would just want to say that Reverend Goen is in that picture. He was the pastor at the time that photo was taken.
Okay.
The role of the deacons to assist the minister in serving the greater church, communion, visiting the sick, being prayerful about the church, and of course in its leadership capacity.
And you also had female deacons, but back then you referred to them as deaconesses?
That's correct, yeah. That was the terminology, but today they're all deacons, men and women.
United Church of Christ being very, very forward in its thinking. About 20 years ago, the females in our church became deacons, and their leadership has been an equal part as with men in the church.
So it grew from 24 people
Former slaves,
to,
yes.
over the years, how large is it now?
We have roughly about 300 members of our congregation, and through the years it has grown between 400 500, but depending on I guess the time in which we live, the congregation comes and it goes.
It has obviously seen a lot through the years, the changing, our history as we move forward, civil rights movement, Dr. Martin Luther King. What do you see as perhaps most challenging still for the African-American community?
Total involvement of the church or churches within the community, looking at the total need of the needs of the community, youth involvement, being involved with the youth, helping them to project their voice, but not only that, putting the actions behind the words, really being involved with the youth.
You've always been involved. We have some pictures of the community being involved.
Yes, we've had a lot of programs for youth. That photo, which is from the early 1900s, is a girls' class, is a Saturday morning class. And I think it was more a cultural type of class as far as the arts, music and drama, not necessarily Sunday school, because that would have been on Sunday. And we had Boy Scouts, we had the Campfire Girls, which people may be familiar with from
absolutely.
the past. And then we moved into the community. There were community programs, and the Dixwell Community House, we donated the land for the Dixwell Community House to be built at 98 Dixwell when we were at 100 Dixwell.
The Dixwell Congregational United Church of Christ is celebrating their 192nd anniversary on February 12th at the church located at 217 Dixwell Avenue. For more information, go to dixwellchurch.org. Just really quickly, just some of the activities you have planned for your anniversary.
Well, our speaker will be the Honorable Tony Edmonds Walker for our 11 o'clock service. We are planning a banquet at the end of the service, and then in May we are going to have our church-wide banquet celebrating the community and members of the congregation.
Very good. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
You're welcome.